Hello, and welcome to the 6 simple steps to a more inspiring career and the salary you deserve. So, I know that a lot of you out there are feeling uninspired, bored with your job, and know you need to make more money. So, you're ready to make a change. And a lot of people do this by simply diving in and applying to jobs online. And I want to tell you that this is not a strategy that's very effective. And it can actually set you back because it can lead to feelings of self-doubt, which will lead you then to sabotage yourself in the future. Networking is one of the really big keys to career growth, but it's uncomfortable and you don't have time to waste going to fruitless events. So I'm going to teach you a much better process that's efficient. You can do most of it from home, and ultimately it's fun. You'll learn a lot and meet friends as well as future colleagues. I want to help you start the process of changing your career right now, even if you have absolutely no clue what you want to do next. I'm Emily Benson, and I will tell you more about myself in a few minutes. I'm a career coach and I have a passion for working with people, especially women, as they develop their professional identities and make massive leaps forward in their career. I can help you get to a place where you feel more fulfilled, more inspired, have more flexibility, and a higher salary. A career place that's just much healthier for you and your family. So let me try to put myself in your head for a minute. Maybe you're thinking things like, I've put so much into my current career, maybe I'm a little bored, but I should just suck it up. Or I'm well educated. I should have figured this out by now. I should know how to propel my career forward. And somewhere along the lines, I just stopped being inspired. What happened? Maybe I should just go back to grad school. If I could only figure out for what. All right, let me dig a little bit deeper. Maybe you're thinking, about how tired you are of trying to stretch your current paycheck, and you need a big jump in salary without, of course, sacrificing doing meaningful work or your lifestyle. Maybe you're thinking that staying stuck is starting to feel more painful than movement, and you have to take action. You're thinking things like, why am I still giving more to my career than it's giving me? I'm meant for something much bigger. But I just don't know what action to take. Is there some secret other people are born knowing? Just give me a roadmap already. Let me tell you that strategic career change is so critical. Flying blind is just not a good idea, because even if you dive in without a plan and do land a job, it's unlikely that job is going to pay your total worth and really put you in the best position for your future. So I'm going to lay out my entire process for meaningful career change, step by step, along with specific actions you can take immediately to get that change process started. My system for changing careers or moving your career up allows you to understand and use your strengths. It gives you a ton of clarity about your next steps and gets you really fully ready to transition into your dream job. The actions I'm giving you today are the foundation of a very successful career change process, and you can start them right away, today. All right, so what I'm going to be covering is helping you really understand your worth and figuring out your career needs. I'll show you how to develop a networking plan that's really effective and evaluate potential careers to see if they're a good fit for you. Determine your transferable skills, and then put it all together so you can market yourself and land an amazing job. If you look at this list, you'll notice that resume, LinkedIn, cover letters, it's not prominent on the list. It does come into it when you're marketing yourself. But really, those are the last steps, and they come together pretty quickly when you have a strong foundation. So they come a little bit later, and I cover them quickly, but it's not the building blocks of success here. And I do have a free gift for you. I'm not selling you anything today, but for those of you who love this webinar and want some one-on-one support afterwards in applying these steps to your own life right away, we can set up a phone call. So definitely stay to the end here to get all the details about how to do that. All right, so what's your biggest fear? If you fast forward 10 years, imagine feeling like knowing you were meant for something bigger, but that you never took that leap. And, realizing that you just stayed stuck for way too long in a box that's too small for you. Not only is there an emotional tax to staying put, but there's also a huge financial risk. A woman I worked with a few years ago told me she has increased her salary by over $35,000 in the last few years, which she never would have been able to do in her former career. So this has had just massive positive implications for her family, for her lifestyle, and for her retirement possibilities. So I want you to think about, stopping the madness of stressing out about this. If you're up at night thinking about what to do next, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to get there, it's not going to just magically disappear. You're spending too much time worrying and not enough time doing. But this really isn't your fault. You need support. It's a confusing time, There isn't a roadmap, so it's not your fault you haven't taken action yet. And the truth is, you really shouldn't just jump blindly into career change. So after today, you're going to go from feeling totally confused to embracing how worthy you are of an amazing career. You'll have a clear networking plan with exact scripts that I'm going to give you that work really well for my clients. You're going to be able to evaluate potential careers to determine if they're the perfect fit for you. And you'll be able to determine your transferable skills so you can put all the pieces of this together to land a great job. So I'm Emily. I'm a college professor and career coach, and my research has always focused on careers. I was a big part of a movement in my state to help attract young professionals to stay in or move to my small state, and I've won awards for my research on careers and for my community efforts in improving the careers of young people here. I've always been really passionate about careers, and in particular, I have an interest in helping women because I think our struggles are a little bit different because of the way we've been socialized and the way that current career structures are modeled. I've found a way to balance the work that I love with a lot of fun. I'm raising my son, and he, of course, comes first. My work has to work for him in our relationship. So my life is very full, and I'm really lucky to have work I love that allows for flexibility. But, it really didn't start out that way. I had no idea where I was going to end up. I majored in Latin American studies in college, basically because I wanted to travel. But I wasn't thinking about how I was going to use that in a career. I was totally clueless. I didn't use my career development office in college. I just kind of jumped into the work world. I ended up working in human resources and recruiting in several male-dominated industries, high tech and construction. Although I was successful financially and on paper, the uber competitive environments did take a bite out of my sense of self-worth, to be honest. I remember in one of my jobs, my boss and a lot of my male coworkers would all go into my boss's office and, have kind of meetings in there that women weren't invited to, and it was just kind of detrimental to my self-confidence. In another job I had, there was just a lot of pressure to work really late, comments if you ever, needed to do something for your family. So it was just a really unhealthy environment for me. And to be honest, the work wasn't as meaningful as I was hoping for. But all of it did really get me fascinated in careers. I was reading resumes and interviewing people all day, every day, studying people's career paths and seeing what worked and what didn't, of course. All of this became the focus of my research in graduate school. Graduate school was a period where relaxation and fun definitely weren't on the schedule. And, that experience didn't on its own give me the real professional confidence that came much later. Here's a picture of me with my grad school friends, and it makes me sad to see myself in the background. That was pretty emblematic of who I was at the time. I wasn't interested in standing out. I wasn't putting my voice out there as much as I could have. This is a few years later when things finally started clicking for me. I was working in a tenure track job, and I was really passionate about my teaching and my research, but I'd also really started developing a strong network. I started putting myself out there, reaching out to people on a regular basis and doing things like organizing events where I'd bring really interesting people together from all over New England to speak on panels about careers. And I got to know a lot of really interesting people. I knew that I was on the right track finally, and I was building great relationships, making friends, and advancing my career. But I do have to say that my foundation in Latin American studies is still a huge part of who I am. My love for travel and deep diving into other cultures is something that will always be a huge part of me. I use it in my work, sometimes indirectly, sometimes very directly. This is me teaching an MBA course in China a couple years ago, and I was using all of the skills I developed 2 decades ago, and they're skills I continue to build today. The bottom line is that I did it. I launched a career that I love without sacrificing my authentic self, but it took way too long, so I'm here to teach a clear process that is effective and has clear actions for changing careers. It is critical that you actually take action after you watch this webinar. So, take out your pen and your pencil, your notebook, maybe your favorite drink, and get ready to actually dive in here a little bit. All right, so step 1 here is to know your worth. So do you believe you're worthy? And how deeply do you believe it? I think everyone has, of course, a deep and real value. But I think that sometimes men believe this more than women because they're socialized to believe it, right? They're taught that they are very valuable to our society. Whereas women, not as much. So I just think it's important for us to actually sometimes take stock and really measure our worth. It helps us really solidify our understanding of ourselves and our value to society. And today we're going to talk about your economic worth and just really make it as objective as possible. Now that you're a professional, it's time to take stock and understand your value to the economy. We all want meaningful, inspiring work, of course, but the money needs to come too. And a career change is a huge opportunity to make a big leap in salary. The average job change leads to a 10 to 20% jump in salary. And that includes all of those people that change without any sort of strategic plan geared towards big growth. So this is the chance to do it, to make that change. But there is this huge amount of pressure to keep your thinking small when you're just starting out. It's drilled into us that we have to start at the bottom. And this is especially true for women. We undermine and undervalue what we're worth. And those messages are going to be there no matter what. So we have to find our worth for ourselves. What if you've been building this incredibly strong foundation and it's going to stay strong and be a huge part of you no matter where you go next? In my city, there's this multi-million-dollar tech company, and I love the CEO for so many reasons, but she really fascinates me because although she's known as a business person and a tech person, she's very quick in interviews and speeches to refer to herself as an anthropologist because that was her Bachelor of Arts degree when she was 21. So even after 40 years of running a high-tech company, she calls herself an anthropologist. And she still relates anthropology to the work she does now. Her degree gave her this deep understanding of human beings in society and the ways that we use tools in our everyday life and our work. And she applies those lessons to her work in the high-tech field. So let's take that lesson from her and trust our foundation and what we've built. They aren't shaky just because we want to switch careers or change jobs. So this is what I call the added up exercise. And what I want you to do is add up everything you've done and put an economic value on it. So all of your education, skills you've learned in the jobs you've had, leadership roles you took on, customer service skills you've gathered along the way, advanced technology skills, anything you've learned, put a value on it. And I got these numbers through actually researching what it would cost to take a customer service course at my local community college and a leadership executive training course and an advanced Excel course. So these skills that you've learned on the job, if you had to take a class in them, it would cost money. So put actual dollar values on as much as you can think of. Here's a spreadsheet I want you to fill out. Okay? Match up your education skills, put the value on it, and total it up. I want you also to think about resources you have at your fingertips. Maybe your ability to quickly research new skills, your professional mentors that you have, your network, and then add in all that future effort that you're going to put into learning something. And if you really can add all this up, your future value to an employer is so massive. And, it's a little bit maybe potentially arbitrary to put these exact numbers on it, but it helps you to really think about everything you have to bring to the table and how you have this unique background that no one else has. You can own your accomplishments just a little bit more. And this took me a long time to do. I haven't always embraced the value of my education. I never talked about even my PhD. And now I finally have it advertised in my website URL. And I'm also really quick to talk about the value of my undergrad degree, even though it's not directly related to my everyday work. What I want you to do next is to look at all these accomplishments and skills that you have and pull out some of the most significant stories from your history. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. These are your secret weapons. There's this myth that careers are a straight ladder up. But what if the twists and turns that you've taken, the changes that you've made, are actually your biggest assets? Because they allow us to test out our strengths in different settings. These are our transferable skills. And we don't want to admit the changes that we've made in our career, the twists and turns, because they're actually hugely valued. And men typically know this more so than women. They apply to jobs even if that job doesn't fit into a nice, neat narrative for them. And employers know it as well, and they value transferable skills. But you are the one that has to be able to talk about them and sell them, and that's going to take some effort on your part. So I actually want you to write out these stories and practice. Specifically, I have 5 stories that I want you to start with, and I call these your 5 secret career weapons. So a time that you managed change, a challenge you overcame, a time you solved a problem, a time you took on a leadership position, and a time you failed but learned something really valuable. These are all really powerful topics, and you can pull these from any time in your life as you're writing out these stories, even if it doesn't seem like it relates to the career path that you want to go forward into. But they're related to valuable soft skills that employers want you to have developed already in your past before they hire you. When you're structuring these stories, I want you to think about, first of all, the context. Add some deep detail in here. Where were you working? What were you doing? Who were the characters? And then think about, your responsibilities. This is a story about you. What actions did you take? And ultimately, what difference did you make to other people, to the organization, to your industry? And what was the ultimate result? And how did it add to your overall experience and the skills that you learned? So you're thinking about a really well-crafted story here with a beginning with lots of detail, a strong middle that demonstrates your actions, and an ending with your results. All the things you learned and what you really got out of this. Now you have your secret weapons. Well-crafted stories are an ancient form of communication and bonding, and telling our own stories gives us power over our complicated narratives, so that you're able to turn your own twists and turns into your biggest assets and your secret weapons. All right, so I want to take a step back now and figure out what you really want to do. And this, of course, is an evolving process. You'll learn a lot more as you continue to go through the steps I'm laying out. But you have to start somewhere. All right, so take your pencil out now and start mapping out what you want, not thinking about reality, but thinking ideally. What are the tasks you'd love to do every day? What is the salary that you need right now? And add in your future salary too. Think about 10, 15 years down the line, retirement age. Where do you need to be? And then emotionally, what kind of mentorship really works for you? What are you craving in a leader? And think about your emotional needs. What do you need to feel like at the end of the day? What do you need to have accomplished? And what are the lifestyle needs you have? What kind of flexibility do you need? Try to think through everything here and think idealistically. Reality will come later. For this one, think idealistically. All right. I know this is a tough one, but we have to network. It's the bottom line. 80% of jobs are found through networking, not applying blindly online. And Mark Granovetter, the famous sociologist, found that, our close networks, our family, our current friends, our current colleagues, they are not going to be our best advocates when we're making a big change. The network that matters here is what he called your weak ties, people you don't know as well. Acquaintances, friends of colleagues, new people you reach out to. So you have to put yourself out there. We hate networking because we think it's all about being judged, and it feels uncomfortable and it feels fake. But, maybe there's other reasons for networking, and maybe we can approach it differently. So I want you to really think about just being curious and open to building real relationships here. Skip the events that are going to waste your valuable time, but do commit to reaching out to 2 to 3 new people per week and ask them for informational interviews, or less formally, just ask them for a phone call or for coffee. And these could be, alumni from your school, acquaintances, people you find on LinkedIn that are in industries or organizations that you're interested in. You can find them anywhere, but it's really important to put yourself out there. All right, so you're just going to email them. No stress, email, LinkedIn message, do some research beforehand, find out who they are, establish some common ground, so you can indicate that you do know something about them. You went to school together or to the same school. You have a similar interest of some sort. And go ahead and explain why you're reaching out, that you're curious about their industry, that you're curious about their organization, and ask for that informational interview. You don't have to put it so formally, but that's what you're going for here. Give them some possible dates and times, make it straightforward, and go ahead and thank them ahead of time. You're not looking for a job yet. You're just doing some research. So there's no reason for them to say no, although some of them will, or they'll ignore you. Not everyone checks their email or checks their LinkedIn. Don't worry about them. Keep reaching out to people and focus on the people that are supporting you. All right, so when you actually meet these people, you're going to go ahead and just be curious and be yourself. And by the way, meeting them in person is preferable, but Skype or something on video is a great second choice, and phone is totally fine too. Have a list of questions ready, but just be conversational and open. Tell them about yourself, why you want to make a change, and of course, this is a great time to use those stories that you've crafted. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the questions you're going to ask in a second. At the end of the time together, ask them for help. People love to help other people. And especially ask them for another connection. This is how you grow your network exponentially. And send a thank you note after. Bonus points if you do it in a handwritten card. Nobody does that. All right, so what you really want to know in these informational interviews is something about what hiring managers in this field really need. What is keeping them up at night? Because you're trying to figure out what problems are out there that basically, only you can solve because of your unique skill set that you've been developing for many years in your education and all the jobs that you've had. What does it take for success and career growth in that industry, right? You're digging in here and figuring out how you're going to fit into this industry in a unique way. So this is where the gold is, figuring out the problems that are out there that you can solve with the transferable skills that you already have. If you track your network, it's going to be even more valuable, right? You want to make sure you see the progress because it feels good to see how your network is growing, and you don't want to miss following up with important contacts. If you start doing this on a weekly basis, I promise huge results. As I said, your current network is not going to be the change agents in your life. It's our weak ties that will get us where we want to go. So if you can do this every week, you're going to start building so many relationships. People that are going to be your advocates, your future colleagues, and even better, your new friends. All right, so let's move into evaluating potential careers. Now you're out there, you're meeting people, you're talking about industries, you're talking about organizations. It's a little bit overwhelming, right, to think about all the possible careers out there. So what I do is have my clients think in threes. And what I mean by that is that you're just going to pick 3 industries or career paths to start with. Okay, and no more than that at a time. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming. And here is my system for evaluation. You can, of course, add to this, but pick 3 different careers or industries or paths within a particular industry. Maybe you're interested in the outdoor industry, but you're not sure exactly how to fit in there. So pick, sales, marketing, operations, and think about, the possible roles that you could do within that career, the salary range that most people are working within. So you might have to do some research here. What's the growth potential? Where could you go within that career? What would you actually accomplish in that role, in that career? How would you feel at the end of the day? What would your purpose be? And who would you be working with? What type of person are they? What are they passionate about? So this is all going to take some research, and as you network, you can learn a lot more about this. These are things you can ask questions about as you're talking to other people. All right, now you're going to clarify your transferable skills. As you narrow down your list of career possibilities, you can really clarify what competencies you already have that you can bring to that next career. And, the myth here is not so much a known myth, but it's more of an attitude. We all want other people to just kind of do the work of figuring out how our current skills are going to serve us in a new career. We write our resume and our cover letters and just sort of send them off in hopes that an employer will magically see our value. And then, you get a rejection, or maybe even worse, you don't hear anything back. So the fact is that no one else is going to put in that work for you. You have to be the one to recognize your transferable skills and sell them. All right. So that's a lot. But now you can put it all together. Once you've got all of this down, you're going to be able to build the bridge between you and a career that will make your heart sing, that feels right. That's your true north. You'll be able to market yourself authentically. You'll be equipped to take a huge leap forward into better pay, more meaningful work, and a personal and a professional life that you absolutely love. So once the foundation is in place, you have clarity about your best career paths, and you're out there networking and doing research. The job openings are going to come from this, and you aren't applying blind to them anymore. Your network is now big enough that you have advocates and mentors in the industry that you're entering. So the knowledge that you've gained from doing all these exercises, knowing your worth, developing your stories, really understanding what you want and why you're qualified, now you can just transfer that to your applications, to your resume, cover letters, LinkedIn profile. And it takes some finessing, but it's relatively minor work compared to all the foundational stuff I just talked about. As you're applying for jobs, you want to fill this out. Take the job description and map out your proof as to why you're qualified for every bullet on that job description. You want to be very clear on how your skills transfer so that you can explain that connection to hiring managers. And you want to give specific stories, going back to an early step when you mapped out your career secret weapons. Use your specific stories here to absolutely prove that you can do what the job description asks for. In interviewing, your stories that you've already been developing are going to make all the difference. And the knowledge that you're gaining from networking is so useful in interviewing. It's going to get you the interview and make it successful. And you're going to know exactly what questions to ask to determine if the job is the right fit for you. And then when you're negotiating, first of all, you can get clarity that it's the career and the job that you actually want and that you're a great fit for. You understand how your skills transfer, and you can tell that story very clearly. And you know what you need in terms of salary and lifestyle. That's not a question for you. So you're in basically the perfect position for a strong negotiation here. So, today I promised how to evaluate your worth, a process for determining what you really want, a networking plan that doesn't rely on going to uncomfortable events, a system for evaluating potential careers, looking at how to understand your transferable skills, and thinking about, how to put all of these pieces together so that you can market yourself and negotiate really powerfully. So I know it was a lot. And I know we kind of ran through some of the things you might have thought were the most important, the resume, cover letter, and interviewing. But those come so easily once you have these foundational steps. So it's a lot, but piece by piece, step by step, it happens and it comes together. All right, so you have some options now. You can stay right where you are, or maybe try to piece all of this together on your own, which totally doable, and many people do it. Or you can take me up on the free gift I promised you and really accelerate the process, right? And not try to, feel alone in this process, because I would love to help you launch the career you've always dreamed of and give you support that you crave. So, I've set aside time in the next few days to speak with you one-on-one. It's a free 1-hour call with me, a strategy session, and we'll put together a 90-day plan of action for you. So just click the button on the side. It'll take you to my calendar and you can book a time to talk with me. And then we can call each other, or I'll call you at the scheduled time, and we'll just develop an action plan. You can also go to the link, emilybensonphd.com/book. So who is this offer for? It's for people who are ready for change. You're stuck in a box and you're ready for more. There's something out there that will re-inspire you and get you excited again, but you feel like you need some support to get there. You have a lot more to offer the world, but you're tired of putting more into your career than you're getting back. And you're ready to do the work. You want to dig in and make this change. Please book your session with me if this is you. We could have such a productive time together. Why am I doing this? Why am I giving away this free call? Well, first of all, I absolutely love it. It's my passion. I love supporting women who are ready for big career growth. And I also know that some of you may want personalized support to launch a great career and just transform your life. So we can discuss that at the end of the call and see if working together is a good fit. And if not, that's totally fine. If we do decide to work together long term, you'll get my full support through all of the steps I described today, and actually more. You're never alone in that process, and I ensure that you can find the right fit so you can advance your career into more meaningful and inspiring work with much better pay. Again, it's emilybensonphd.com/book. I want you to, stop wasting time and just sort of wishing for clarity. And stop calculating the cost of grad school when you're not even crazy about the idea of going back. And know that you have options. Know that support exists. You don't have to be alone here. And I want you to know that you can give your family or your future family, and especially yourself, the gift of a lucrative and fulfilling career. So hurry, book now, space is limited. I'm so looking forward to talking to you and getting started with your action plan. Talk to you soon.